the Government Integrated Financial Management Information System. Now, as I said yesterday, the Accountant General was in Lagos to introduce its implementation to Chief Executive Officers of ministries, departments and agencies. But just before we start this conversation, let's quickly listen to that report. Our correspondent Bolaji Akinwale actually went there, and we'll come back for more of this morning.
The Accountants General of the Federation, the Auditor General of the Federation, and CEOs of ministries, departments and agencies of government gathered in this hall to acquaint themselves with the Government Integrated Financial Management Information System, GIFMIS, and the Treasury Single Account, TSA. According to the Accountants General of the Federation, Mr. Jonah Otunla, this project will aid in promoting efficiency and transparency in government's cash management.
Prior to the introduction of the TSA, we have fragmented banking arrangements for revenue and payment transactions. Government was contending with more than 10,000 bank accounts scattered in various banks. It led to pockets of idle cash balances held in FDA's accounts while government continued to borrow at very high cost.
Some other benefits that GIFMIS and TSA are expected to deliver include checking bank fraud and making the budgeting processes more efficient.
If there's anything in the bank statement, without the authority of the accounting officer, no check was used. No instruction to the bank have that debit, and then you are just saying there is a debit on the bank statement, not in the country. Then there's something funny. And some of these transactions will take place for a long period of time, over a year, the money has not been returned, then you think there's something funny about that. So a lot of staff practices were going on. So I think with the recovery of this, a lot of things will take some of those staff practices will be curtailed.
Was the budget manager set the ceiling? You cannot exceed once you by once you exceed your budget, the system will not show up. You cannot. That is one of the reasons why I was so happy. I am thanking the Accountant General.
This is the first time this sensitization meeting is done outside Abuja since it started in February last year. The expectation is that the over 400 MDAs in Nigeria plug into this novel initiative of government to achieve the set goals. Bolaji Akinwale for Channels Television News.
Well, that's a report by our correspondent Bolaji Akinwale. So, gentlemen, the Accountant General of the Federation has come to sensitize the CEOs of some of the NDAs here in Lagos, and it brings to a question: is this medicine after death? Is this coming too late, or is it coming right on time?
It's better late than never. There's never a right time to correct an error. And also, government is an institution in perpetuity. Government is going to live for 10 years and then die or something. So when an error has been there for that long, then you find a solution. Actually, without the technology we have today, you couldn't have even contemplated the solution. Without broadband, without high quality communications, without hardware computers of the capacity to carry all that information, you just couldn't have done it, even if it was a good idea. So for Nigeria, it was an idea whose time has come, because we have the hardware, we now have good telecommunications that can hook all the computers around the country together.
But there will always be cases of fraud. So what kind of mechanism should we be expecting when put in place in terms of monitoring?
Well, the way I will look at it is this: issue of fraud is issue of human behavior, but a mechanism could be put in place to moderate or minimize the chances of a fraudster succeeding in perpetuating their nefarious activities. But the key thing we're looking at is this: we're having an integrated information management system for the government revenues and expenditure. Two, we're also going to have a consolidated cash management system. And the key things we have to look at: what are the benefits of these processes? One, like the Accountant General Atola did say, that you're going to have a better management of the cash revenue or the cash resources of the state or the federation. But beyond that, there are several other factors you have to look at. Previously, like you said there are about 400 MDAs in the country. Each of these MDAs have several bank accounts. In some of these accounts, you have huge balances, while several other agencies are borrowing from the same financial institutions. The financial institutions pay minimal interest on accounts held by government agencies, and then charge commercial rates on borrowing by government agencies. So in effect, what the government has been doing is suboptimizing the cost of running government. The cost the government incurs in terms of interest expense have been so high when the government was actually borrowing from itself. Of course, that was what informed the CBN governor imposing a 50% cash reserve ratio on public sector funds. But beyond the fact that, look, government is going to manage its revenue when, its expenditure, when you have a consolidated cash management system. You have several other benefits. The issue is that you are able to receive your revenues timely, because you can monitor all those revenues. When you have a consolidated a treasury single account, you're going to have a main account, like I did say earlier, and then you have a sub account. Those sub accounts can actually reside in the banks. But at the end of business day, the balances in those sub accounts are swept to the main account. So if a particular ministry or agency has deficit and needs to be funded, it is funded from the pool of funds, and that's why I say the principle that you have fungibility of money. So if, for instance, the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, which is always having surplus balances with banks, then that could actually be used to fund activity of Ministry of Works, that is a major user of government revenue. And those are the things you have to look at. But in addition to these two major benefits, you also have to relate with the fact that, look, it helps you to have a harmonized fiscal management, monetary policy management system. The issues of increasing the cash reserve ratios, issues of using the ways and means to mobilize funds to moderate the level of liquidity in the banking system will be reduced. Because if the government has a consolidated balance, then the balance that used to be with the commercial banks, which they used to create loans, and when the central bank wants to reduce the amount of money, loans being created or credits being created, they always increase the liquidity ratio or the cash reserve ratio will be moderated. So you have a more coordinated fiscal and monetary policy where you have a treasury single account, if you have what the government is trying to do. It also helps you in managing your information, in preparing your budget, because you can actually see through within the fiscal year revenues and expenses incurred by each of the ministries. There are several factors benefits you have to look at. And for me, like he did say, it's never too late. The concept of having a single treasury account was actually meted in 2011. We're now in 2014, and the government seems to be pushing to ensure that is implemented. A couple of countries have done that. It was actually International Monetary Fund that actually began to sell the idea of having a consolidated treasury consolidated single account for most agencies of most governments. And countries as complex as India have implemented it. And it's high time Nigeria implements it effectively. One, will reduce the cost of running government by reducing the cost of expenses, the interest expense that government pays. We will actually also get more benefit from the surplus balances that are actually lying idle in the banks. Like I said, what happens in reality is that the ministries, agencies, and departments place this fund with commercial banks. They get minimal return, but the decision makers actually enjoy the greater part of the return, because what the banks do is incentivize them to make sure that the funds remain with them instead of actually paying commercial rate on those deposits. So there are several benefits we have to begin to enjoy as a country once we implement the integrated information management system for managing the financial revenue of the government, and then meet
the treasury single account.
Yeah.